have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. Buhari Abdul Fattah, Oyo North. Mr. President, the motion is incessant delayed and cancelled fly-by airline operation in Nigeria. Mr. President, the Senate note from series of reportage from both the print and electronic media as well as the social media in the country, the incessant delay and cancellation of flight by airline operator in Nigeria, which ceaselessly seem to be increased in recent time. Mr. President, also note that this development is worrisome, as air travel is one of the most reliable, dependable, and quicker means of transportation, often undertaken for business official purpose, and to keep to the scheduled appointment, which are usually time-bound. Therefore, unwarranted flight delay and cancellation will be counterproductive to the socio-economic growth and development of this country. The Senate further notes that as part of interventions measure to check unethical and unwholesome practice of the practitioner in the aviation sector, the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority is statutorily empowered through the enactment of Nigerian Civil Aviation Act to, among other things, provide oversight and guidelines aimed at ensuring the airlines operate within the contemplation of international standards in Nigeria, and to ensure that airline customers get value for the services they paid the airline for. The Senate observed that the quest for economic diversification and foreign direct investment, which are part of the current administration policy, trust will remain an illusion if the country aviation industry falls short of acceptable best practices across the globe. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, aware that Part 19 of the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority Regulation of 2023 makes provision for consumer protection in the civil aviation industry in Nigeria. However, enforcement has been an issue, as most Nigerians are not even aware that they are entitled to compensation for time lost due to unnecessary delay and outright cancellation. Hence, the need for the NCAA to activate this aspect and make it public and its regulation so that airline operators will sit up and be alive to their responsibility to their customers. Accordingly resolved, mandate the Senate Committee on Aviation to invite the Minister of Aviation and Aerosport, the Director General of NCAA, airline operators, and other relevant stakeholders to, among other things, unravel the circumstances beyond incessant flight delay and cancellation with a view to finding lasting solution to the problem. I so move, Mr. President.
In 1990. No, he is protected. The barrier is protected. Okay. We have been given the chance, but allow him.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished senators. My name is Mohamed Tahir Monguno. I represent Borno North Senatorial District. This motion is apt and germane, especially having regard to what is happening in our aviation industry, because delayed flights and cancellation of flights have become a recurring decimal in the aviation industry, for which, as a responsive parliament to the yearnings and aspirations of our people, we must put heads together and invoke the necessary legislations and pass the necessary resolutions with a view to nipping in the bud this ugly scenario of flight cancellations and delayed flights. The motion has already captured the consequences of those. People, it has a lot of untold hardship, brought untold hardship to travelers who have an appointment, most of them business appointments that are time bound. As a result of that cancellation or delay, they will miss out in their business appointment, thereby bringing untold economic hardship to their businesses and what have you. And then, Mr. President, distinguished senators, apart from that, the insistent delays and flight cancellations, there is no remedy. They don't give any remedy. They don't bring any succor to the people that are affected, as enshrined in the necessary international treaties and conventions regulating such acts. You are supposed to be taken to a hotel. You are supposed to be provided with a meal. All those things are thrown and are not obeyed. They are rather obeyed in breach, but not in observance. So this motion is apt and germane, and as a responsible and responsive parliament to the yearnings and aspirations of our people, we must act and nip in the bud this ugly scenario in the aviation industry. Thank you.
Minority leader, I was just referring to which office higher between minority leader and chief. I'm not talking about ranking. So
I don't want to allow this argument to derail my contribution. Otherwise, he's a one-term senator, and you should know that. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, quite frankly, I wanted to second this motion to underscore the seriousness with which I see this motion brought by the Honorable Buhari in the Senate. Mr. President, let me share this single experience. That on a particular day I was at the airport traveling to Akure, and I saw some of my colleagues and other travelers who had come to the airport the previous day by 2 o'clock, and by 3 o'clock they had not gotten a flight. And they were there. They confessed to sleeping at the airport. Nigerian airports are the only airports in the whole wide world where your flights are delayed without any explanation, without any apology. Your flights are cancelled without any apologies, without any announcement. And so I think that it is high time we take very stern stance on some of these issues, because it throws up the problem of our regulatory agencies. Mr. President, you will recall that even in the 9th Senate, I brought a motion on the arbitrary billings by DSTV on Nigerians. I also brought a bill on the arbitrary deductions on accounts of customers by commercial banks. All these institutions have regulatory agencies, but they do not do anything. They do not do anything. And so the motion by my colleague here actually has thrown up the fierce urgency of the need for this Senate to take a very serious position on this matter, because apart from the transactional effect of these delays, a businessman, for instance, who had a business meeting in Lagos, who will come to Abuja here, I will not be able to find flight to go back to Abuja, to Lagos. You know what that loss can be. Even in government activities, a government officials that wants to travel to Lagos to represent this government at any level of business or program will get delayed in this place until that event is overtaken. Even health, if you have reason to travel out of one place to the other and you get unnecessarily delayed and your flight cancelled, God forbid, it is possible to lead to death as a result of that negligence. So I think, Mr. President, that in supporting this motion, I want to say that at least for this matter and other related matters, our compliance committee must ensure that whatever resolutions that we arrive at here is complied with by these agencies. Because these organizations or service providers are taking Nigerians and Nigeria for a ride. And they're making Nigeria a laughing stock. Because it's not only Nigerians who are resilient that are applying these rules. foreigners are here. They experience the same thing. And it makes Nigeria look like a different country from other countries of the world. And so, Mr. President, I completely support this motion, and I urge my colleagues to support the motion and ensure that whatever resolutions the Senate arrives at here are complied with. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
I urge my colleagues, the motion, for the airlines, because you see most of the airlines are keeping passengers without caring about their welfare. In international agreement about airlines, if you keep any passenger, delayed any passenger, it's either you feed him or you find alternative way of transporting him. Because Nigerian airlines are not even caring to say if they will put the passengers in another airplane leaving at that moment. They don't care about this thing. So this motion that brought by Senator Buhari of the Senate is very germane, and it's a right time that the airlines should start taking their passengers very serious, because international passengers who are transferring to other cities are just looking at Nigeria as jokers. Because when a passenger lands, for example, in Abuja and is going to transfer to Kano or Abia or Ekiti or Ondo, they delay him for almost 9 hours and without any information. So, Mr. President, I think it's not a way situation in marketing our country. The airlines should be more serious in doing the business. Look at what Senator Abamoru just said. People waiting for airplane in the morning to the next day, and they were still in the airport. And these airlines never ask these people whether they will eat, whether they will use sleep, and all the rest of them. So it behoves even you, Fatai Buhari, as chairman of aviation, you don't even need the leave of Senate to do this thing you are bringing here. It's too late. You could have dealt with this matter before coming back to the Senate, because you are a chairman of the Senate Committee on Aviation. You don't need to bring this motion here. This is an issue you practically could have dealt with before coming to Mr. President or coming to the Senate. Because